All right, Creature Club.
Do you remember how to do a Creature Club, Mikey?
I can wing it.
You mean that's yes.
I know our cold open.
Yeah,
Got a good cold.
Not bad. It's not bad.
Got it. That's a good cold open for this one. All right.
Hello and welcome to Creature Club. It's a weekly podcast all about the monsters of Dungeons and Dragons. Each week we take a monster from the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual. We talk a little bit about its history, either in our world or in the world of the game, or both if we can. Then we talk about the actual writing in the book, what the book says, and then what the book says the monster can do in terms of its abilities. And then we kind of freestyle it and we take it and we make it our own and we come up with cool ideas for ourselves and for you, the listener. I am your host. I almost said Mikey, but that's wrong. I'm Dan and I'm joined by Mikey.
I am your host, Mikey, and I almost said Dan. We've done this bit before, though, unfortunately.
Fuck, we have. God.
I think, everybody, I am a guy who's on this show. It's good to be back. Sorry, we're on a little bit of a short hiatus there because just a myriad of different things, really, where we don't do Creature Club full time because, like, look at us. But we don't do it because we just have our own things to do.
Fired.
We would have been fired because we're terrible at our job.
Yeah.
Just we just have to work and stuff, and also kind of in a weird way that we have to work, but also because of lockdown, we have a few more things to do as well because of that. It's kind of a strange weighing scales going on there.
Yeah, we've been sort of stretched and pulled in lots of different ways.
And unfortunately, Tim seems to have a very busy job right now as well,
Yes.
Which is great for him to have a bit of work going on for him. But
absolutely,
because of that, he's working during the day, which is usually in the States the time to record with us. And it's once it's on his off days, and if we can do it during the weekends, we will try to get something with Tim. He will be back in the show. Don't you worry, guys. Tim will return in Avengers 2. Age of Guy.
He's going to be in the next fighter pack in Smash.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be
That's
Tim.
He's doing all
Tim?
He's doing all the mocap, so he's very busy.
Sakurai's got him working.
Working 15-hour days, and he keeps telling him to take Kirby's
days
and just crush him. And Tim told us that Kirby's real, and we didn't realize, but we probably have to cut this now.
He has to work through bank holidays as well. You know, so and Thanksgiving. It's his Thanksgiving is gone.
Yeah. Absolutely. In Thanksgiving, he's going to beat up Sans.
Sorry, guys. Spoilers.
Oh, shit.
Creature Club.
Yeah, more spoilers.
Yeah, more spoilers. But we just know. We know now because Tim's in the game.
Yeah.
Make sure you buy Tim.
Yeah, please actually do buy Tim, because it's only if he sells enough that we get him back. So
that's right. Sakurai will only you Creature Club guys only get Tim back if he sells well.
We made too many jokes about Reggie, so Nintendo came after us.
Because that's right. Yeah, so we are now it's unironically Reggie will eat us. This is a show about D&D.
Fuck, sorry. Yeah, this is a show about D&D and having a fun time. What are we talking about this week, Mikey?
We are talking about the dragon turtle. We're just off a whole lot of dragons, but this dragon is quite different from the other dragons, I think.
It is.
So a dragon turtle, it appears in a lot of media, and it appears in Chinese mythology, especially, I think it's it's a legendary creature in the Chinese mythology. But it's a really big, sea turtle, almost like a huge sea turtle.
Yes,
that's kind of what we're going with that. And you might have seen something like it in I think I remember appearing in Avatar or something.
Yes, they're very important in that.
It's the thing that gives Aang just its power at the end of Avatar. Spoilers, I guess.
That doesn't count. That's not a spoiler at this stage.
Doesn't count. It's a very old show.
Yeah.
It's not really like a dragon that we've been talking about before. It's a very different kind of dragon, even though it's a dragon just in name, really, in terms of this D&D thing, you know. There's a lot more to it, but that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with the dragon turtle then? What's anything with it? I did say it's Chinese mythology. So
Yes, yeah. So its origin is entirely from Chinese mythology. So in Chinese mythology, there is 4 celestial creatures. There might be more, but my understanding is there's 4 celestial creatures, one for each of the cardinal directions on the compass. There's the green dragon of the east, the red phoenix of the south, the white tiger of the west, and the black turtle of the north. Yes. And so the dragon turtle is a combination of both the dragon and the turtle, and so as a result, it's considered an extraordinarily powerful entity because obviously it's 2 celestial creatures in one body. I did think it was interesting. This is kind of a side note, but all the depictions of it are a turtle's body with a dragon's head, and it got me thinking about what the opposite would be like a turtle's head on a dragon's body. And I was just thinking about like my grandparents have a turtle, and I was just thinking about like him eating lettuce, but he's like 90 feet long and he's a dragon.
Your grandparents have a turtle? That's cool.
Yeah, called Herbie. He's great.
Our mutual friend of the podcast, Jack, one of the Jacks, he had turtles. And I remember very young, he was like, yeah, we're going to clean out the turtle tank. And then he had the kind of like the kind of like what you siphon oil out of in cars, but it was siphoning the dirty water out of it. So he's like, I'll give it a go. And then I gave it a go and I fucking drank turtle water. Like, I know. It was so gross. That's the only thing. Whenever I think about keeping turtles, I'm just like, do I have to siphon turtle gunk?
Oh, that's a bad time, man.
It's a very bad. No, but as in it was like a second, and then like it was basically because when you're siphoning, because whenever you watch like Mad Max or something, they have a bit of oil in their mouth first.
Yeah,
and then the oil. Yeah,
and it shows that they're cool.
Yeah, but this one he's like, make sure you stop at the right time, or else you get
because it's not
shit
cool
in
oil.
Your mouth.
Because it's not cool oil. It's turtle bad. It's like turtle soup basically, but like
it's
the
turtle
other kind.
soup. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I remember about. That's the story I got with that. But
so the dragon turtle is the combination of 2 celestial entities, and both of those entities have their own kind of positive connotations, and so the dragon turtle supposedly takes both of those. So the energy of the dragon is associated with courage, auspiciousness, and good luck. And turtles are the energy of stability, longevity, and protection. Obviously, the shell and their long lives. And so the dragon is kind of ferocious and strong and outgoing, but the turtle is more like stable and like sticks to itself, and it's kind of the wisdom of the earth and sort of tied to the ground because obviously it doesn't have any wings or anything, unlike a lot of the previous animals. It's very slow. And so people have statues of dragon turtles, and the kind of statue they have depends on what sort of protection they want or what kind of energy they want from this statue. Yeah. So if they want to attract wealth, which is one of the most common uses, is they'll have the dragon turtle itself will be made out of a precious metal, ideally some kind of silver or gold, and it will be standing on money, and it will maybe even have like a big coin in its mouth. And as well as that, if you can think of these sort of ornaments, they also sometimes have other dragon turtles on their back, like little baby ones. And those are another kind of sign of like wealth and prosperity, like unsurprisingly, like having offspring and, being productive and all that. Or they can be seen as like sort of to promote like a positive energy in terms of like advancing your career or like pursuing a hobby or like just having a lot of energy. And in that case, they'll basically focus more on the kind of the dragon-y element. So they'll have like big dangerous claws, and they'll often have a type of scepter called a ruyi, which is sort of like a regal symbol, I believe. And and then obviously there's some other things, but those are the 2 main like kind of, I suppose, specific uses that a dragon turtle might have within a person's home.
So it's a very positive symbol.
Yes,
the dragon turtle.
It's a hugely positive symbol, and it's seen as a hugely powerful creature.
Yeah.
Which is quite suitable for the creature we have here in Dungeons and Dragons. So will I jump from our real world mythological understanding of this thing to Dungeons and Dragons mythological understanding of this thing?
Daniel, I wouldn't have it any other way.
I don't know why that made me laugh. So the dragon turtle shows up in 1st edition, right under all the proper dragons that we've gone through. It doesn't get a fun fake Latin name, unfortunately, which is a little disappointing. It doesn't even get like sort of a Chinese-derived name.
Draconis turtled us.
Nice. It's kind of it's a fairly standard thing. This is another example of, you know, this creature, they came up with an idea for it and it hasn't changed in whatever, like 50 odd years or however long it's been. So the dragon turtle in first edition is described as, there's one funny line about it, and this is just because I'm maybe like slightly a pedant or whatever, but the first line is, perhaps the most feared of water creatures is the dragon turtle. I was like, not a kraken or like an aboleth or like
perhaps the most feared.
Like it's a big dragon. Like the aboleth can like control your mind. It can like compel you to serve it for all of eternity. Oh yeah, but that big dragon turtle is gonna eat me. It's like, oh, I'd rather get ate than like.
Yeah, there's some cosmic horror going on.
There's
with the aboleth,
like, yeah, and like we have not yet got to the kraken, but the kraken is very bad news. I don't think that's a spoiler.
That was just like somebody wrote that like on the jacks, you know,
yeah,
just like, I need some dragon turtle stuff. All right, cool. There we go.
It needs to start with a sentence. And so I'll just write this. And in fairness, you know, the dragon turtle is a pretty dangerous creature in every edition of the game. And then it's funny because it says perhaps the most feared of water creatures is the dragon turtle. And then it says they are found in very large rivers and lakes as well as the sea. And I don't know why, but I just thought of like, it's such low stakes, like a reasonably large river. It's like, no, the terror of the sea. You know,
the sea is just a really, really, really big lake.
It feels like the equivalent of like freaking out because you saw like a raccoon at like a junction. It's like, I'm dead. Oh no. Yeah, so then it just says it's got a big shell that makes it really difficult to hit. It's got claws and it's got a big mouth and it breathes steam. It says an interesting thing here that I thought was kind of cool. It says the steam causes damage equal to the number of hit points the dragon turtle has. And I just thought that was interesting. That's a really interesting, like almost maths problem to be part of the fight, right? Like the dragon turtle's breath becomes less dangerous the longer you've been fighting it because you've dealt more damage.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was cool.
So
and then it just says
point of damage is like, let's for example, this is ridiculous numbers are going with here, but let's say if we're fighting with the dragon turtle now, 341 hit points. That each point, like every time he hits you, it's 341 hit points.
In other words, yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. Although in fairness, it says number of hit points the dragon turtle has, and this was back in AD&D, so it had between 12 and 14 hit dice, and a hit dice was always a D8. So even at their max, it would be much less. And obviously that's saving throw halves as it does nowadays. So it's just, but I just thought the idea of like, you know, that its damage and its health are directly tied. I think that's kind of an interesting idea, like to sort of create as part of the battle math, even telling your players that, so they have to consider their options. You know, and like if we take cover, we might not take as much damage, or we'll get some kind of benefit on the saving throw. But if we just deal damage, we can maybe reduce the damage of its breath weapon so much that we don't need to take cover, and you know, just like giving them an interesting conflict, basically. Yeah. So then there's the second edition dragon turtle. Basically the same thing, just sort of very, very similar. It establishes, as I say, I really like the second edition books. They do a lot of things where they talk about a lot of out of combat things that I always really like. So it says, for example, dragon turtles are extremely solitary creatures, large desolate sea caves and secret underground caverns that can be accessed only by the water or their favorite layers. And if you find them, they're always full of treasure because, hey, good luck. It says a dragon turtle's territory is well defined and may cover as much as 50 square miles in open water, so just a huge amount of space. And then this is the stuff I kind of like. It says other dragon turtles are allowed only during mating season, although turtles of the same sex will always fight to the death. And I like sort of that kind of not anthropological, like sort of naturalistic, almost biological element to it, where like even though these are mythical creatures, they're also like animals with their own behavior. Yeah. And like knowing those behaviors, like immediately I think, wow, it would be so cool if like two dragon turtles showed up in local waters and started fighting. And because they're so big and powerful and ancient, they would probably not kill each other right away. They'd probably fight. One of them might retreat, but they're both they're smart enough that they might feel vengeful and come back, and they might even start paying off adventurers to. But anyway, I'm jumping ahead.
It probably like, you know, cause like, you know, just
like storms and stuff,
and just like tsunamis really, and just like waves, just like what's going on around here, like it's two dragons.
Yeah, exactly.
One of them wants to get their bit, like
basically. So it says that, and then it says actually this is also stuff I absolutely love. Mariners of any experience recognize the territorial claims of dragon turtles and will often make extravagant tributes to the turtle controlling the areas for safe and speedy trade. So like, I just love the idea of mariners of any experience recognize the territorial, like just the idea of like it sort of establishes how the people in the world understand it. That like, it isn't a case of people like, what's happening? It's like, you know, the local sailor, like the hardy old boy with a peg leg and all that's like, I tell you, it's those dragon turtles that are up to no good, you know, like, and that kind of thing.
You gotta drop a coin into there for the dragon turtle.
Like,
all right, you know, man. All right, old man.
Who asked you, old man? I'm only 27. Oh God, don't look it.
Because you can actually literally have dragon turtles can be like that, like on the map. Like, you know, when you would see a picture of a dragon turtle on an old map, or like just a sea serpent, like it could actually be like that. Where like, don't go there. There be dragons,
actually,
and
like,
and when
literally.
you actually go there, then like a dragon turtle pops up. Like, what are you doing here? Like, oh shit! Wow, okay. Like,
oh God. And then it does something that I really like, where it tells you exactly how good the bonuses are for using a dragon turtle shell to make armor, which is the kind of stuff that I think is fun, because it just gives you an idea of, like, again, how the world works.
We can Monster Hunter that monster later.
Third edition is literally the second edition monster again, like stat for stat. And then, interestingly enough, for whatever reason, it doesn't show up in 4th edition. So then we get right to 5th edition.
Excellent. All right.
So the only other thing I will mention is that in 2nd and 3rd edition, it had a sort of special attack called Capsize, where it could basically knock ships over. Which, you know, just makes sense.
That's very cool. I like the little picture of on the 5th edition where he's actually going for the rudder of the ship.
Yeah. I love that too.
It's very smart. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, it has that kind of clever girl energy where, like, the dragon turtle knows how ships work and knows how to stop them from moving. I just thought,
ships to stop moving, like, what the clever girl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think I shall read what's in the 5th edition book.
Absolutely.
Now that we're on that bit. Dragon turtle. Dragon turtles are among the most fearsome creatures of the oceans. There we go, Daniel. Even in this book.
They're back.
They're back. As large and voracious as the oldest of its land-based dragon kin, a dragon turtle strikes with its deadly jaws, steaming breath, and crushing tail. A dragon turtle's rough shell is the same dark green color as the deep water where this monster dwells. Silver highlights lining the shell resemble light dancing upon open water, and a surfacing dragon turtle is sometimes mistaken for the reflection of the sun or moon on the waves. That's very cool. Very fun imagery there.
I will also just say for the record that exact description is from the 2nd edition book.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely. And you're dead right. I really liked it when I read it. Just the idea that, like, they've got that camouflage.
Dragons of the deep. Like tree dragons, dragon turtles collect treasure, first by sinking ships and then by sifting through the wreckage for coins and other precious items. A dragon turtle swallows treasure for transport, then regurgitates it when it reaches its lair.
Allow me to pay you for your tribute, hero.
Keep it. You can keep it. It is a +5 sword, though. Dragon turtles dwell in caves. Yeah, it's a good sword. Dragon turtles dwell in caves hidden in coral reefs or beneath the seafloor or along rugged stretches of coastline. If a choice cave is already inhabited, a dragon turtle attacks its current residents in an attempt to take over. He attacks. Roll initiative.
Oh shit! Oh,
so if you and your friends have a cave, get ready.
Yeah. If you and your high school chums have a fun cave, prepare for combat, you fools.
You fools, roll out the map, prepare for combat. Mercenary monsters. A dragon turtle is smart enough to be bribed. A pirate's sailing seas patrolled by these creatures quickly learn to offer them treasure in exchange for safe passage. You were talking about that there, Daniel. It's already it's very cool that these guys can be bribed. Like agreed. Anyone can get, like, I'll finish it. We'll talk about it. I'll finish this one.
I know, but I know, yeah.
Clever Sahwagan. How do you pronounce that?
That's correct, as far as I know. That's how I pronounced it anyway.
Clever Sahwagan.
Yeah.
Sahwagan.
Yeah.
If I feel like I know it's a made-up word or it's a nonsense word. Sahwagan. Clever Sahwagan. Sometimes ally.
Sometimes high.
Sometimes ally. Clever Sahwagan. This is
we're having a good time. That's all.
This is a nonsense podcast. There's sometimes where I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I could be able to do like presenting radio in my lifetime, but like in other times this podcast happens.
Oh yeah, I know. I just think I cuss too much. It's like they'd have me off the air in a flash.
I would be saying fuck all the time.
Yeah. You just hear like Ryan Tuberty slam the door and he's got a gun. Just
get
puts
out.
you down on air.
On air. Tonight at 9.
Execution of a presenter who swore too much.
He said the F word. Clever Sahwagan, sometimes ally with dragon turtles, enticing them with treasure to use their blistering breath weapons in Sahwagan raids against the... I can't do it! We're going to have to talk about those guys as well, you know?
We are. I'm pretty sure they're like a little like tribe, so they've got like 3 or 4 monsters as well.
Oh god, it's going to be like a 3-part or a 3-part episode.
It's not going to be that many. But
it's not now. It'll probably be just one big episode.
It'll be a big one, yeah.
Enticing them with treasures to use their blistering breath weapons. This is
Mowage.
Breath weapons.
Breath weapon.
Dr. Wowie.
Your blistering breath weapon.
I had to actually close the book there, pressing like I need to take it. I need to breathe.
A second.
Here.
Okay.
I need to breathe. Biggest dickus. Enticing them with treasure to use their blistering breath weapons in Sahwagan raids against ships and coastal settlements. Settlements. All right, I'm done. I'm done.
Can I offer you a delicious settlement?
Settlement. Elemental might. Dragon turtles sometimes find their way through sunken planar rifts to the elemental plane of water. Those monstrous specimens can often be found in the service of marids, which strap magnificent coral thrones to the back of dragon turtles to ride them as mounts. That's very cool. I like that image.
Very cool.
That's a very fun image.
It is.
And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Any thoughts before we jump into the stat block?
I do kind of like kind of going with that there. They seem to kind of just they go with the dragon liking treasure, but there's an element of don't harm the sea because the sea will attack at you, or like always respect the sea. And I guess the dragon turtle is kind of representing the sea in this one, where if a satyr is going by, they'll like maybe drop some coins into the water, or like if you try to take a cave as your own, then the dragon turtle might attack you first.
There's almost like an element of you could understand how a bunch of superstitions could come from the behaviors of dragon turtles. Like people respond by creating mantras that become superstitions. Yeah, that's a cool idea.
And even this even marids using them as even thrones is like it's like a symbol of power almost. Like I have a dragon turtle as my companion, even though they were mystical being themselves. Like our marids, they're kind of like just like merfolk as well, right? Just right?
They're like elemental water people basically.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, sorry, no. Marids are water genies. Apologies.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, even that's very cool. And even if you wanted to go merfolk doing that, any kind of merfolk, any kind of fishman, you doing that, having them as like companions of some sort, as a big symbol of power, that's a cool idea too.
Yeah, it is.
Even though that's not really in the book, I just thought about that when I was reading it. Very cool. Right. Shall we just go to the next part of Creature Club podcast?
Let's do it.
All right.
There's sort of a very 2020 energy to that, just sort of a distant.
A distant. No. I don't want to do this. No, I don't. I want to do this episode, but
No, yeah, this is good fun. Everything else isn't fun.
everything else isn't fun. Creature Club is fun, but
Creature Club is
2020 isn't.
2020, yeah. I'd swap 2020 for more Creature Club if I could.
I'd swap 2020 for a bite of a particularly good Mars bar. This podcast is not sponsored by Mars Bar.
When you said bite, and again, it's not sponsored by anything, but when you said bite and you paused, I just thought I would fucking murder a Five Guys right now.
Oh man,
I haven't had Five Guys in so long.
That's the one thing I miss about it, where like, and okay, I guess this is very much us going very BBC now, but other products are available, other burgers are available.
Absolutely,
but,
yes, they are.
Five Guys was always the one that me and some friends of mine were like, I would go to my friend Kev and say, do you want to go pick up a Five Guys today? And we would just drive to Dundrum, which is about 30 minutes drive. Not 30 minutes, sorry. It's about 15 minutes drive.
15 minutes, but you got to park and walk there, so maybe it's 30 minutes altogether.
Yeah, you got to go there. You have the afternoon taken away from it. But it was always a thing where we'd meet up, eat some Five Guys, and then just and spend the afternoon doing it. You know?
Yeah.
And I miss that. I miss doing that.
I know, it's all the small normal things, and like, again, other burgers are available, but I will say,
burgers are available.
to their credit, like, I wouldn't do that for many other burger places. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily want to make a day of it in the same way.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, just because you said bite and paused,
you can make it a day for the guys. You can make a day for it. I made my own burgers today.
Did you?
Not really my own. No, I made it. I know how to make my own, but I haven't done it in a while. But I just made store-bought burgers.
Nice.
And they're good though. Yeah.
That's a great idea. We had leftover stew, and so because Leanne made very nice stew, and so I was like, I'll just we'll just reheat the stew in the microwave, but just to keep it interesting, I'll make some nice flatbread. So I used this spelt flour to make this really nice kind of wholemeal flatbread that was really good. I just ended up slathering mine in butter and just. It was great. I didn't even eat it with the stew. I just ate it because it was so nice.
Destroying it with butter.
Just destroyed it with butter, and then
it was more butter than.
He's more butter than man now.
Butter man. Cool. Would you like to read the stat block then?
Yes, let's do that. Okay, so dragon turtle, gargantuan dragon, neutral. So that's immediately interesting, just because.
Very
different to all the previous dragons. Armor class 20, that's just natural armor, makes sense. It's got a big shell. Hit points 341, which is comprised of 22 d20s and 110 health from its very high con mod.
That's a lot of d20s.
It's a lot of d20s. Can I have everyone's d20s, please?
Yeah.
Speed 20 feet or swim 40 feet. Which is interesting, actually. I mean, it's reasonably slow, but it's actually not too slow on land. I assume it probably wouldn't want to beach itself for too long, though. Okay, now let's get to the stats. Strength 25. Good lord, that's a big boy strength.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big thing.
It's big. It's kind of it's sort of weird because we're still, I think, at least for me, we're still coming from dragons, so it's is this big?
Yeah.
Because all the ancient dragons have such ridiculous stats. Dex 10, that's something it has in common with a lot of dragons. Very low Dex score. Con 20, 10 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and 12 charisma. It has 3 saving throws. It has the same 3 saving throws that most of the dragons have. It doesn't have charisma. It has Dex, Con, and Wiz, which are +6, +11, and +7. Respectively. So those are in the sort of parlance of D&D, those are the good saving throws. So having all 3 of those is very good. Damage resistance is fire. Yeah, makes sense. Senses dark vision out to a range of 120 feet and passive perception of 11, which is just from that +1 Moise mod and no training. So actually it would be reasonably easy to sneak around compared to a lot of dragons. Languages, Aquan and Draconic. That's immediately something I like. I like when monsters don't speak common because it makes them different to people. Challenge 17. So this is a pretty difficult monster. Again, we've just come down from Ancient Dragons, so it's like kind of low, but 17 is basically high enough that most people will never fight it unless they specifically play like a high level campaign. And that's worth 18,000 experience points. I think that doesn't change because it was only if it was past 20 is when we started noticing the discrepancy between Tim's.
Yeah, they just didn't really know the formula, I think. I don't even know the correct number for it, to be honest, now.
I mean, yeah, like, unless you're someone like me who actually uses experience points, it doesn't matter.
What's canon?
What's canon? I mean, like, you know, I barely even use challenge rating because I don't know how to calculate challenge using.
They're more like guidelines. You know?
Guidelines. Exactly.
They're more like guidelines.
They're more like guidelines. And all you do when you're using experience, here's a pro tip. All you do is you just use the experience on the monster, and then you just sort of every now and again go, you finish a quest, have 500 experience points, and it's exactly the same as if they didn't have any experience. And then maybe someone goes, if this is the same as milestones, why don't we just use milestones? And the answer is, I don't know.
It's also what we use in Creature Club challenge rating, where it's like this is where you fight 4 level 17 guys, or I don't know, 17 level 1 guys. Is that how it works?
I think, I don't know. Yeah, maybe 17 challenge one monsters can fight a dragon turtle. Yeah. I feel like they'd have a bad time, to be honest.
Yeah, but like it'd be a bit of fun.
The dragon has one special ability, and it is amphibious. The dragon turtle can breathe air and water. So I guess technically it can climb up on land and chase you for as long as it likes.
Yeah, just for a bit slow, but it can do it though.
It's coming.
Oh Lord, he coming.
Okay, action. So these are all very straightforward. Firstly, it's got a multi-attack. The dragon turtle makes 3 attacks, 1 with its bite and 2 with its claws. It can make 1 tail attack in place of its 2 claw attacks. Cool. Okay. So I like stuff like that. I like when multi-attacks have an element of maybe choice. There's some monsters later on, not actually I think in the monster manual, but in Xanthar's and other source books, they start doing things like they give monsters multi-attack and they can start replacing attacks by casting spells. And I think that's very cool. I like stuff like that. Next up we got the bite, the foreshadowed bite from the multi-attack. Which is a melee weapon attack plus 13 to hit, so it'll hit most of the time. Reach 15 feet, 1 target, hit 26 damage, which is made up of 3d12 plus 7, and that's piercing damage. Then it's claw, that's also plus 13 to hit, but it's 10-foot reach instead of 15. And then the hit is 2d8 plus 7, or 16 slashing damage. Finally, the tail, this one's a little more interesting. Plus 13 to hit, again, reach 15 feet like the bite. If it hits a creature, it's 3d12 plus 7 bludgeoning damage, so same amount of damage as the bite. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 20 strength saving throw or be pushed up to 10 feet away from the dragon turtle and knocked prone.
And if you're in the water fighting him, does that make a difference if you're prone? Or
that's actually a very good point, and I think we'll talk about that because I actually know the rules for this, weirdly enough.
Oh, wow.
But I'll just do the next thing first, because this is when it finally gets to the cool powers. Steam breath. So it's got a breath weapon because it's a dragon. Recharge 5/6. The dragon turtle exhales scalding steam in a 60-foot cone. Oh, Jesus, that's a big cone.
Oh, wow.
Each creature in that area, big cone, must
stretch.
make a big. Oh, it's a grand old stretch in the evening. Not anymore.
Big stretch. Yep.
Ooh, big stretch. I haven't got to say that because there's no dogs around.
Yeah.
This is a problem. Must make a DC 18 Constitution saving throw. Oh, it's a Constitution saving throw. I expected dexterity. Taking 52, which is made up of 15 D6s. I don't know why D6s. Fire damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Being underwater doesn't grant resistance against this damage. That is important.
I guess it's Constitution because steam. You're
being cooked, I guess, and you're trying to resist being cooked.
Or like you're in a sauna.
You're being turned into dumplings, and it's like.
Yeah, you're being.
Yeah, it's like that's true. It's like the sauna in Fire Emblem, and your toughness determines how long you can stay in it.
And then you become friends, and you can learn better when you do.
Yeah.
When you finish it.
when you go to the, like in school where you like the teacher says, "Come into the sauna with me."
Come into the sauna with me, and then depending on how much
and the police aren't called. First off, things I like that it has a good armor class, but not a annoying armor class. 20 is like nice and high, but because it's a challenge 17 monster, I think the players will still hit a lot of the time. But 20 feels appropriate, like it's plate mail, right? So like it's as armored as a person can ever be.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because it's a big turtle. But then it's kind of got a load of health because it's a gargantuan creature, so that like it's sort of tanky, but it's mostly kind of tanky by just taking the damage rather than just having such a high AC that you never hit.
Yeah.
I said it already, but I really like the fact that it doesn't speak common. I think monsters not speaking common is really cool. Like I think I've said before, your goblins shouldn't speak common. They should speak goblin, and like they should yell things they think are common at you, like treasure, but they shouldn't speak common. Because then what happens is the player who speaks goblin or speaks orc can speak to the goblins, and now their language proficiencies are actually important instead of everyone just speaking common.
Yeah.
Same thing is true here.
Maybe if you're talking to goblins, there's one goblin who is a bit more common than the rest of them.
Yeah, the goblin pack leader or whatever. And like, or maybe, I mean, you could get interesting and say the goblins have they have a religion, and their religion means that some of their shamans speak another language, but it's not common. It's like, I don't know, Terran or something. It's something weird.
Yeah.
So I like monsters not speaking common because it means that the players who have relevant. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say that I remember in Tim's game, I came across a dragon turtle, and then he just kept speaking to me because he's like, "What language are you speaking?" I told him what language I was speaking, and then he just kept speaking to me in like a muffled language. He's like, "Oh, you don't understand it," and then like, "All right, cool." And then and then
Farewell.
the rest, and then my character has gone swimming in a lake, and then your guys caught up in a boat. And then you're like, wow, Dragon Turtle, he's here. And then, like, what language do you guys all speak? And then it just wasn't Draconic or Aquan.
None of us spoke Draconic or Aquan.
But I don't think he had, like, an adventure plan with this thing. But he was saying something to me, and then, like, I couldn't understand it. I don't think it wasn't like a blockage in the adventure. But
No, I remember this. Yeah. It was just like probably could have given us some interesting information.
Yeah, but everyone's like, what language do you speak? Like, oh, I speak this and that, like not Draconic, and like none of us spoke. And he's just like, well, okay, cool. And we're like, all right, see you, Dragon Turtle. Like, see you, buddy. You're great. And he's just like, and he just didn't know what we were talking about. He just went back into the water. So,
I was just gonna say, like, I like it. It makes it more distinct. It means that the players basically the players, the language proficiencies you pick, because everyone basically gets some languages, are suddenly like a bit more relevant. And if they're relevant, you feel like more of your character sheet gets to be used.
Yeah.
So the next thing I was going to say is, if the tail attack, if the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 20 strength saving throw, or be pushed up to 10 feet away from the dragon turtle and knocked prone. You can't be knocked prone in water.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought.
It just doesn't. Nothing happens. So it's interesting to me that this creature has an ability that, if you are in water, is partly ineffective. Like, because, knocking prone on the surface is pretty powerful. It basically means, like, you can't move, and if you want to start moving again, you have to stand up, and that means you spend movement, and everyone has an easier time hitting you while you're on the ground. So, like, it has a bunch of penalties and a bunch of benefits to the enemies. But obviously, if you're actually fighting this thing in the water, it you just get pushed away. And this is also an interesting example of, like, the kind of there's like a naturalistic design that the 5th edition has. So, like, in this case, right, the tail attack has the same reach as the longest reach attack the turtle has, other than the cone, other than the breath weapon, and it pushes you 10 feet away. But the turtle doesn't have anything to do after that. It's not like if a player is playing a character that pushes people away, they'll probably have some kind of follow-up.
Yeah, they have, like, lots of bits to do after, like, now I can attack him and do this thing and this thing.
Yeah, I've pushed him away, and now I can pull out my hand crossbow, and I can make a combo shot, and then I can drop my hand crossbow, and I can hit them with spell or whatever.
Claw, burning hands.
Yeah, drop the staff, obviously, the infamous. So many attacks. But yeah, so, like, it makes sense, right? You're getting hit with a big tail. It's a massive creature. You're not, or even if you are, it doesn't matter because it's so strong. So you get knocked away. But you just get knocked away, and then you're 10 feet away from it, and then you swim, and you probably don't swim 40 feet, so then it just catches you, and then it just does it again. And like, it's not clear what the dragon turtle is trying to achieve, you know? Last thing, which is that it says, I just wanted to say, the steam breath, it says that it's fire damage, but being underwater doesn't grant resistance, because that's another thing. Underwater is you can't go prone, you resist all fire damage, and I think there's a thing about certain kinds of weapons. Basically, like, non-piercing weapons are bad underwater. You know, like a trident or a spear you can use underwater, but you can't swing a club or slash a sword, because obviously the water slows it down.
Unless it's magic.
Unless it's magic, and then you can ignore that. So a lot of the time you'll ignore it. But sorry, let's jump into the third section.
We'll jump into the third section. Let's go to the next part.
Let's get into this seawater sorbet with a dragon turtle.
Dessert. That's what I completely forgot what we call these things.
It's dessert.
It's dessert. Let's have dessert. And the other part was meat and potatoes. Yeah, cool. Gotcha. All right, I'm back.
Yep.
No, okay.
He's back, ladies and gents.
I'm back. All right. So I'll just say this here. That because for the matrix room, or the select environment condition equals underwater matrix room. Where you're just in a matrix room, but you're underwater. That's what that's how that fight will go, where you do this, and then you would try to, swim away, but he would catch up with you, and he just keeps doing. Yeah. And the breath weapon is just 5 to 6 recharge, so it can happen not all the time, but like a little bit more frequently than. Yeah,
probably maybe twice or 3 times in a fight, depending on how it goes.
So how do you think that will go? How do you think the Matrix room will go, Daniel?
So if I understand challenge correctly, and I'm not saying I do, but if I understand challenge correctly, it's a challenge 17 monsters, which means that a party of 4 level 17 adventurers can fight 1 dragon turtle, and that is a fair fight.
Or 17 level 4 adventurers.
Exactly. Oh, that'd be such a nightmare to run.
Yeah.
Kind of fun though if all 17 adventurers were the entire crew of a ship, like there was no NPCs on board, it was just all of them. That could be kind of cool.
Yeah. 17 people on a table though.
Yeah, if you could. Yeah, not at the moment, but maybe at the end of lockdown. Yeah. You need a fucking huge table, or just have just do it at a bar and just tell people it's not your turn to get a drink.
Continue.
So the main thing I'm struck by is that this creature has, it has 3 in fairness, reasonably good saving throws, but it's not legendary. It doesn't have any legendary resistances. It resists 1 damage type, which is the most commonly resisted damage type in the game, and that's kind of it. So I feel like a lot of parties will just have ways to sort of lock down the dragon turtle, like knock it out or banish it, or the spell Eye Bite has a bunch of options for kind of disabling people for an extended period, and you'd be able to cast that by 16th, 17th level, no problem. So I mostly think that it would be I actually think this is I think a dragon turtle is almost better as it's a level 12 fight, but you get some help. You know what I mean? Because it's such a straightforward. It's almost like a lot of the beasts. It's almost an animal fight in that it has such a straightforward moveset that a very high level party will have a lot of tools that just negate a lot of what the dragon turtle can do, and actually its damage, with the exception of its steam breath, and even then, its damage isn't that high. Its best turn is. In fairness, its best turn is the steam breath. But assuming it doesn't have the steam breath, its best turn is a bite and 2 claws for a total of 58 damage. And that's pretty good, but we're talking about level 17 characters.
Yeah, for level 17, you get 58 damage done to you, and that'll be pretty bad, but you can walk it off,
But it's all non-magical weapon damage. So a barbarian, for example, cuts that right in half. And a barbarian can do that all day, realistically.
They can do that, and then it's lunchtime, you know? Then
Yeah, exactly. But like, so I think that, like, I really like it. And I think there is a certain joy in straightforward stat blocks, but I just feel like with the challenge it's suggesting, I think a party would just wipe the floor with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think myself, because I don't know where I don't know if I would ever play a dragon turtle as an enemy, you know, or as a fight. I think it's one of those monsters, and we've had a few monsters like this before, where it does give you a stat block, but you don't really have in your game to fight it, you know? I don't think that anyway. I wouldn't really want to put my players up against it, you know? It's kind of just a thing you put in the game, put in the setting, or just have as an adventure hook, you know? I wouldn't no reason to fight it, you know, if you know. And that
it's like, because it's a big threatening underwater monster, but it's actually its stats, with the exception of its massive health bar, don't actually really make it a threatening monster for the level it's at.
Yeah.
And it's almost better as like a role play encounter where you have to negotiate with this creature because it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
And its danger is not you are a party of adventurers and it will kill you. The danger is it's a massive creature and it will just bat your ship into the ocean.
Yeah.
And then I hope you've got enough constitution to swim your way home, because, like, you know, like the dragon turtles have to fight you. It just has to wait until you get tired and then eat you. Like,
or like the ship will, like, he will
the ship and all the and all the people
crew
on it, and exactly.
And they can't swim, even though they're not
level 17 characters, so their options are a lot more limited. Like, one steam breath is going to knock them out.
Because you can go like, all right, I'm going to start my action surge, 2 attacks, blah blah, this and that, and like, all right, well, next turn the dragon turtle just eats the ship and then it goes down. Like, and
you get a big fission mailed screen, basically. Yeah,
like, oh man, all right, I should have action surged twice or something.
Should have taken the dodge action.
Should have just dodged it. Dodge it. Like, I agree with you, Daniel, that the simple stat block is good, and I honestly miss this 1-page creature club. You know, I said that before we started recording this.
You did.
But I think that the strengths of this is everything kind of around it. It's the world building. I think, you know, I that's for me mainly. I prefer that myself for a dragon turtle. I do picture a great dragon turtle encounter is that classic encounter of being on an island and then realizing it's a giant
it's not an island.
Yeah, it's on an island.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's just, I love that kind of shit. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, and that's absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
And there's so much you can do with it. But something I'm actually struck by, sort of, when we're talking about how it's maybe not super appropriate, is like, you can compare it to the other two, and like there's maybe more, but these are the two off the top of my head that I mentioned before, the aboleth and the kraken.
Yeah.
So the aboleth is a lower challenge creature, but it's a legendary creature. So it has legendary resistances, it has legendary actions, it has lair actions, it has a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And then on the upper end of the spectrum, we have the kraken, who is a very high challenge rating, but realistically, in relation to a challenge 17 monster, is actually quite close. And again, the kraken's legendary. It has legendary actions. It gets a lair. You know, it's one of those like 3-page write-ups, like all the dragons we've just covered.
Yeah.
And I feel like either of those is a better fight for the party because it does more things.
Yeah.
And actually, the dragon turtle is an interesting middle ground where it's at a high enough challenge, but its abilities are so straightforward and perhaps even lacking in its block is even lacking in ways that mean it won't actually be a challenging fight. And so you should either go, you know, up the ladder to the kraken or down the ladder to the aboleth and just do interesting stuff with them. And both of them are like almost better like bosses, which is interesting. So yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's a better non-direct combat puzzle, basically.
Yeah, but if you're playing like a sandbox game, maybe, and you want to just put them in your world, and your players want to fight them, that's kind of one of the only ways I would see really fighting them, like because I agree with you, Dan, where, you know, there's other things to do out there if you wanted a fun underwater boss fight. But that's kind of one of the only situations I would see fighting a dragon turtle is if you're doing some sort of like the players want to fight one, basically, you know.
Yeah, or, you know, you establish one, and again, it's sort of that, like, maybe the party's actually level 10, but they get to bring the crew of a ship with them, and so they have sort of this other advantage. You know, like, it's not just the four of us against the dragon turtle.
I like
the four of us and our fleet or whatever, or a flotilla, or even just like, we did this other quest and we persuaded a pirate captain to work for us, and now he's going to help us take down the dragon turtle, because that's a cool, like, you know, you're paying off this narrative arc.
Yeah, being an under-leveled party on like an under-leveled ship, you know.
Yes.
Just,
yeah.
Trying to fight it, and kind of very much like an underdog story, trying to beat up this dragon turtle.
Yeah,
in very
absolutely.
unconventional ways, you know, like, do the cannons, like, we only have one cannonball, what? And then just
yeah, exactly.
like
what? And then you have to like feed it a bomb to like finish it off and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What was the other thing I was going to say? I was going to say, if you are going to do that, if you're going to do the sort of like, you know, the fight where you're sort of trying to take down this dragon turtle and you're not quite powerful enough, you could definitely do kind of the, like, it has a sort of a, you know, a secret weakness of some kind that maybe the party can discover.
Yeah.
Like it's like maybe from a warmer climate, so it's weak to, it's like got you know, vulnerability to cold damage or something. Or if you hit it with an ice spell, it slows down, and then you can use that opportunity to get your ship further away.
Yeah. And maybe just simple enough that it has just a scar or something from a previous fight against another dragon turtle, and if your player goes in the water and spots it underneath, like in its underbelly, like, there's a spot there, and then you swim back up to the
right,
ship,
yeah.
Like, I found a spot, like, we gotta try this out somehow, you know.
It's
about
or
trying
even
to
like
flip them over, you know.
Yeah, actually, that would be really interesting if it was like something weird, like we have to get its belly out into the open.
Yeah.
Or if that idea that it has a scar from something, maybe you track down the source of that scar and learn about its weaknesses.
Oh yeah.
You know, maybe it's a dragon turtle, or maybe it's like a previous adventurer, and they're like, well, if you're gonna kill the dragon turtle, you know, maybe like you do a quest for me and I'll give you my sword of dragon slaying.
Yeah.
And like, that's pretty fucking cool.
That's pretty cool. Just give it to me, though. Then all players be like, "Can I just have it?"
But just can I just have it? It's like,
I don't want.
No.
How about you give it to me first, and then I do your
persuasion?
quest? I use diplomacy. Okay, go ahead.
I diplomacy them. Does this work?
It works. Crit 20.
Game's
right.
over.
Game's over. You fight you defeat the dragon turtle and you win.
I have once again avoided playing the game.
That's just fucking players. I love that. I need that on a t-shirt. Yeah. So we're getting at around the 50 mark here. So you have that idea there. Do we have any ideas for a Dragon Turtle adventure other than that one there? 'Cause that's a really good one. But any more ideas for a Dragon Turtle adventure?
That is cool. I actually want to return to the Dragon Turtle itself briefly and just talk about a few different things. So first of all, so in terms of its stat block, there's a couple of things that I was struck by. It has a really low passive perception and no kind of special senses. And I think some kind of blind sense while it's in the water would be kind of cool. Like it can sense all the water around it, or it can smell really well. You know, there's that thing about like sharks can smell blood from very far away, or like they can pick up blood particulates in water really well.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of feature like that. So like if you're wounded and you're in the water, the dragon turtle, like you can't hide from the dragon turtle. You know what I mean? Like you are never counted as invisible.
I would like them.
Cool.
Yeah, I like them being more like because if they're ferocious of the sea, I like them being kind of more like lords of their sea, their particular areas. So if they had a bit more vision around there, then if anything was to go wrong in it, then they will be able to know and go towards it. You know, like
I can understand, because they're supposed to be kind of big. They have like a big territory. I can understand maybe not necessarily giving them lair actions, because they're supposed to be going back and forth across the ocean. Yeah. And so I think that's the reason they don't have them. And that's fair. But I think something that's more like, you know, they have a presence in the water. Like, you know, they aren't actually monstrosity or beast. They're gargantuan dragon. And dragons are kind of established to be like magical creatures that like influence the world around them. Yeah. So like, I think features that like let the dragon turtle like manipulate the water around them, like maybe some kind of spell casting. Like, I mean, control water would be a really obvious one. Control water even has like, I don't know if you know the spell, Mikey, but like it basically gives you like 3 different things you can do with a bunch of water. But one of them is you can create a whirlpool. And that seems like something that the dragon turtle would want to do, because then it can make ships crash and then eat everyone inside, and it wants to eat them because it's hungry.
Just a whirlpool in the showing up in the ocean, and then like the dragon turtle's head just popping up and eating.
Yeah, exactly.
The ship.
Its tail attack only affects creatures and not objects, which is weird because it can't bat ships around. It actually doesn't have any way to interact with ships other than just dealing damage. Also, its steam breath says creature, so its steam breath doesn't work on ships either. I think that's really weird. Like, its 2 special abilities don't work on ships. And so that's why I want to bring back what I said before. The capsize ability that was basically specifically just a rule that said if a dragon turtle decides to capsize a ship, unless that ship is very big, the dragon turtle succeeds and the ship is capsized.
Unless it's really, really, really big. You can't capsize it.
That's the short version. The long version is ships under 20 feet in length will be capsized by this attack 95% of the time. So in other words, if you don't roll a 1. Vessels from 20 to 60 feet long will be capsized 50% of the time, and ships over 60 feet will be capsized 20% of the time. Ships not capsized will sustain some damage. Don't know how much damage some is. I don't know enough about ships to tell you how big those ships are. But, like, you know, it's just a rule that says unless the ship is very big, the dragon turtle probably knocks it over. And even if it doesn't, it still breaks it because it's a big thing knocking into a ship. And that is going to impact it. And so I think some kind of rule, I actually think a really cool system might be like a tug-of-war system. This is sort of maybe outside the realm of a stat block, although it could be done with like multiple saving throws or something. But basically the dragon turtle begins to capsize a ship, and the party can like take actions to try to stop it. So it's sort of like I'm attacking you, but I'm also trying to knock over your ship, and you can either try to attack me to kill me, or you can try to stop me pushing the ship, and you can't do both. And so, like, you know, the fighter who's like not as useful because they aren't, you know, they're in heavy armor. They're like, well, I'll stay on the boat and try to keep it upright, and you guys jump into the water and fight it. And now, hey, look, the party's working as a team and achieving different things during a battle because it's a game, but it's also a fun narrative adventure. And yeah, that'd be fun.
Very cool. You were talking about Monster Hunter and that monster earlier on, or like it gave
I
you
was,
stats
yes.
about it. What do we have on that?
It basically says that shields made out of the dragon turtle shells are +1, just +1 shields / armor, and they also say that they have an increased bonus against fire. So in the context of monster hunting it, I would say that producing armor or shields made of the dragon turtle shell would firstly confer a +1 bonus to your AC, and would also give you advantage on resistance to fire damage.
Yeah.
Because the dragon turtle has resistance to fire damage. That seems like a sensible conclusion. Did we want to talk anything? Do we want to say anything about the part about the elemental planes? I thought that was really cool. I don't necessarily know if we need to add anything to it, but I do like it a lot.
I like it as well. Yeah, but I don't really know anything about elemental planes there. I do love the idea of it's sunken planar rifts. It just swims around, and it means that if it finds them somehow, then like anyone can just find these kind of like rifts in the planar, like under, like deep in the ocean. Like you can just find like a crack in the world where it can bring you there. You know, that's just
I totally love the rifts idea too. That just like, you know, at a conflux of planes, there's the deepest water has portals into the elemental plane of water because they have that like tide element, and you know, the top of mountains has the plane of air and like stuff like that. The deepest caverns have the earth. You know, the hearts of volcanoes have fire. It's just a cool idea.
Yeah, and like you can use like, I don't know, like teleport to other plane kind of spells and stuff. Or if you want a fun adventure, like how do we get to an elemental plane of air? Just like your players just think about it, like, oh, how about we just go up to like somewhere where there's a lot of air, or just like a really high mountain, just go up. That can probably lead us the right direction, and then, or like the deepest ocean for the plane of air or plane of water. Like, it's just, I really like it. It's a great idea, and I just like how the dragon turtle can find it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is actually an adventure idea. The party need to get to the plane of water, but they don't necessarily have plane shift yet because they're not high enough level, and they don't know any wizards who can do it for them. So instead, they figure out, or they know, or someone tells them that, like, you know, creatures who live that like there are rifts between the planes where the elements are strongest. So like there are rifts into the plane of water in the ocean somewhere, and it's like, oh, we need to be able to find them. It's like, okay, but we can't search the whole ocean. It's massive. So they negotiate with the dragon turtle, and the dragon turtle's like, I will take you to, if you like, okay, yeah, you got to do a quest for me or bring me treasure or whatever. You know, you got to do something for me. You got to scratch my back, my massive shelly back, and then I'll scratch yours, but not literally, because it would deal 16 damage. And so the party are like, yeah, cool, we'll do that. And then you could have a like a miniature adventure where the party are like clinging to the back of the dragon turtle and riding it down. And as they're riding it down, they're getting attacked by different monsters, and they have to defend like themselves and the dragon turtle.
Also, you got to figure out a way how to breathe underwater as well. You got to like come up with a way to do that too. Yeah,
but the water breathing spell is like 3rd level and it lasts 24 hours. So like that's not really like, if you got any spellcasters, that's not a problem. If you haven't, then that's a cool other thing you can try to solve. You could do for like the magical option. Although if you wanted to like, if you had like an artificer, they could build diving suits, which would be really cool.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Like sort of a bell. Jules Verne sort of thing. Yeah. Have it carry a big diving bell with all the party inside it.
Oh, that's fun.
We actually had an adventure where Stephen Brady, patron saint of the podcast, had us go to an undersea tomb, and to reach it, we took a diving bell, which was very cool.
Yeah.
Because diving bells are just great. They're like little claustrophobic environments, and the roiling infinite sea is outside, and you're like, why are we here?
What do we do? Why do we bring this thing here?
Actually, fuck this.
That's cool. Like, I don't know anything about the plane of water, other than it's a big place of water. It's wet. Other than it's wet.
But it's wet, and it's in the Dungeon Master's Guide, or you can make it up yourself. But I mean, it's in the name, really.
Yeah, but I like the idea that it's this other plane of existence that you can find somehow, that dragon turtles can just find somehow and go there. Like it's just kind of, by reading that one little paragraph, it gives you small little ideas of what you can do for your own world.
Actually, just what you said there, Mikey, gave me an idea. It's because it says here like dragon turtles sometimes find them, but actually what would be even cooler is that if dragon turtles like had like a sense for them, like they like a dowsing rod or something, like a dragon turtle can always find a portal to the plane of water. Like that's like a bit of lore or something, because that like, rather than having the like, you have to figure out that some creatures can find them, you have to negotiate. Like if you instead have the rule of like, oh, they always know where the nearest one is, or they're really good at finding them, now the party have a reason to seek one out.
Yeah,
so that
that's
could be
a fun
cool.
idea.
That's
yeah,
all.
just give them a little extra thing. You can almost see it as a paragraph there. Like dragon turtles know where the nearest like rift to the plane of water is. You can kind of see that there.
Yeah, their finely tuned elemental senses allow them to detect the nearest rift between their world and the plane of water.
Yeah, I like that,
because they're supposed to be magical creatures, so you can just say it's like they're creatures of water and power, and they can feel rifts because they're like powerful senses of water and stuff like that.
And also like all the other dragons are kind of like, they kind of warp the world around them magically.
Yeah.
With their like regional effects and stuff. You can kind of just use that same magic mumbo jumbo to power the dragon turtle, and kind of like, oh, he just the dragon turtle is kind of warping the world around them, but also with that power, they know where the rifts magic is.
It's almost like a kind of sonar that they like reach out into the sea around them. They can feel these things. So like they know where they are, and like they can even like read the ebb and flow of the rift, so they know when certain things are going on. Like, oh, the rift is most active when the moon is high or something, and like again, they can tell that to the party if the party negotiates with them, and now the party have more information.
Or it'll be open longer when the moon is high. So.
During the summer solstice, it's open for the longest time or whatever.
Fun.
And like it's like it'll be closed for whatever a week after that. So either get in and get out quickly, or get ready to stay there for a week.
What are you gonna do for a week?
What are you gonna do for a week? Just hide from the guards of the Dukes of Water or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Oof. Don't want to mess with them. Cool. That's fun ideas there. I think we should end it there.
Yeah.
Because we're at the hour mark here. So we might as well. If you have any ideas about dragon turtles, tell us in a bunch of different ways that we're going to say right now. Daniel?
You can find us on Twitter at Creature Club Pod. That's the best way to reach us if you just want to say, just want to get it off your chest.
Get off your chest.
You're bursting with ideas, and you just want to get them to us because we're all going to see it, and you can keep your ideas short and simple. But if you're the kind of person that likes to get your big ideas out, you can go to our website, which is creatureclubpodcast.com, and you can comment below the episode, or you can use the contact us form, or if you've got even longer ideas, you can use our Gmail, which is creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com, to send us your longest, biggest ideas. You can also use that email to send us any other things you have. If you have, like, for example, invented a homebrew dragon turtle, or any other kind of homebrew, be it monster, class, magic item, spell. We like to collect homebrews from our listeners, and then we make episodes about them, and they're lots of fun. And that's all the places you can find. Oh, we're on Spotify and wherever else you get podcasts.
And
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not hip anymore. I don't know where anything is.
I listen to my podcast on Spotify, and that's it. And sometimes when I listen to these episodes back, I just do it on the website. You know, that's just what I do.
Yeah.
But if you like this show, and if you think a friend of yours might like this show, consider letting them know about this show by just maybe a quick little conversation with them or something. Maybe like, hey, I've been listening to this podcast called Creature Club, where these three strange people don't talk about monsters for the entire show, but it's pretty fun.
they talk about fucking burgers that aren't even sponsoring them or whatever.
Talk about burgers or some shit. But it's pretty good. It's a D&D podcast.
They occasionally talk about monsters.
Yeah. It's a vague. It's just a. It's a weird veil that it's about D&D, but it's just not.
It's about D&D, but it's also just a nice way for us to catch up.
That's true.
And you know, one of the nice things about working from home, for example, is that you can be listening to stuff while you work.
Absolutely.
If you're able to work from home, because the office is gone. You're the office now.
That's true. Yeah. I can't work from home. I drive around the place.
You drive around, yeah. You bring the office with you everywhere you go.
Absolutely. The office is the road.
Everywhere you go.
What was that?
You always take the weather with you.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Don't they have like a weird like yelling? They're like yelling, but they're kind of like distant or something? Or
I don't know that song. What song is that?
I think it's just called Everywhere You Go. You always take the weather with you. Everywhere you go.
The two lines you sing.
You always take the weather with you.
Everywhere you go.
You shouldn't be having me fucking sing on this podcast, man.
Everywhere you go. I don't know it. I really don't. You always take the weather.
I think it's called Everywhere You Go. You take the weather with you, or just Everywhere You Go.
Everywhere you
go, you take the weather.
Everywhere you go, take the weather with you go.
You take the weather with you.
Everywhere you go. Listen to Creature Club podcast.
We're gonna get fucking canned for that, for stealing music.
That's true. You can't. Yeah. That's us. We're gonna get put Creature Club in a can.
Yeah.
Or just like something at home we've been doing that you just want to say.
Like, I literally have like nothing. Have
you cooked anything?
I made some really nice flatbread and poached eggs for breakfast 2 days ago.
Lovely stuff.
So nice. I took a picture of it and I meant to post it to our Discord, but I had to go to work and I forgot.
You forgot about it.
But I will just tell you about it because we're talking, and it was very nice. And I must say, I'll tell you what. Here's something I'll plug. If you're someone who wants to cook and you're thinking about cooking more because the lockdown sort of means we're all stuck indoors. A lot of Gordon Ramsay stuff on YouTube is really good.
Okay.
He has a really good tutorial for poached eggs, and I did it, and my poached eggs were really good. And I was chuffed. I was like, this is great because poached eggs are kind of hard, but
I know the small bits of things I've seen of him, or it's just a small little like even pointers of things that he said to do, like you should do this and that. It's like have just changed my cooking. I feel like it's great.
I definitely think that his videos are great for, even if you like watch a whole recipe and you're like, I'm not necessarily going to make this, but a lot of the time, Gordon Ramsay will say like, and now we're going to do this, and this is the reason we do it. And you're like, oh, now I've learned about cooking. So like, if I don't make this dish and I make another dish with the same ingredients, I have learned, like, I can use that knowledge, which is cool.
Actually, yeah, we'll end the podcast there. If you can, I suggest if you haven't already, try a bit of cooking with you during this lockdown and during this. Try cooking a bit, and even if you haven't already, and if you can, give it a go. It's a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of it now. I moved into a new place myself, and I love cooking so much now. Like it's
that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
It's an and I want to learn more recipes to do that, and it's just great. You kind of, and also you just impress people by doing it. Like, wow, you can cook. Like, yeah, I can. And
I know. Yeah,
it's cool.
There's something really nice about making something like food, and then someone else goes, "Did you like this? Is good. Did you make this?" It's like,
yeah,
yes,
I did. Yes.
Yes.
Smithers, I'm home.
I don't know why the Mr. Burns yes. Like, it really entertains
home already?
me. I have no idea why.
Yes.
Is that when he's Mr. Scrub?
No, that's not. That's like that's when he I'm pretty sure he buys all of television and it's just him and Smithers on the sitcom.
Oh yeah.
Home already? Yes.
Yeah, the audience laughs. That's probably why I laugh. Such a fucking child.
Yeah, so give cooking a go, guys. Try it out. You can start with the simplest thing: scrambled eggs and toast.
Toast salad and scrambled eggs.
Maybe I hear the blues are calling toss.
You're way better at that than I am. I was gonna try it, but I shouldn't. I'm glad I didn't bother. Oh
man. Oh god, Daniel, I just want to say real quick that recording with you is so much fun. Like,
oh, it's great. It's like this is the highlight of probably my week, to be honest.
I was like, because I didn't have a great week, and I'm just like, you know what, I don't know if I can do this tonight, and because I don't know if I know much about Dragon Turtles, and then it's just so funny. It's just why Creature Club is great to me. Is
I know,
like we talk about D&D and also just talk shite.
Yeah, and I think we're actually really lucky, like, you know, to acknowledge this. Like, I think we're really lucky that the people who listen, like, for the most part, are like well up for it. Like, they know that we like to sort of divert slightly, but they're not like, oh, would you ever shut up about your burgers?
Yeah,
like, you know, it's a bit of crack for everyone, which is just, it's nice. It's good to have a nice time, you know?
Yeah. So far, most people have said, actually, I quite like that like your diversions and like your banter. So that's good. I like that.
Yeah, I'm very glad
that's good to
hear.
hear.
That, yeah.
So it won't leave, but unfortunately, guys, if you don't happen to like it, there's plenty of more resources out there if you want just monster stuff with no banter.
Just
no
pure, yeah.
Creature Club is about talking shite first and foremost.
It's a podcast about nothing.
It's a podcast about nothing. Great. How about we leave it there then? It's been a lot of fun doing this, guys. We will try to have a shorter gap between this episode and the next one, and we will and hopefully Tim will be back sooner rather than later. But he's quite busy, so make sure everyone sends their love towards him on at Timothy's Music. Let him know that you think he's cool and you care for him and you want to make sure he's okay. But he's just busy at work. He's just a working man.
He is. He's a working man. And in fairness to him, he said he'd probably edit this. So when the podcast comes out, you know, just say, cheers to him. Good work. Because the edit will probably be less than an hour and 20 minutes long. Thanks to him.
He has a good ear for like, they're just talking shite now. So let's just put that at the end of the show. We'll put that. So, you know, a bit of an extra thing there. So excellent. Cool. Well, we shall leave it there. So thank you so much for listening to the show. I have been Mikey.
And I've been Dan.
Stay cool.